How is everybody doing this week? Sorry about last week. Just didn't get a chance to make a recap for the episode, but that's all right because really we're 3 episodes in and absolutely nothing has happened this season. We are setting the tone once again to have a very sexually driven season. All the awkward sex conversations are back. 90% of the focus post-wedding is on whether or not the couple is going to have sex on the wedding night, and if they aren't going to have sex on the wedding night, are they going to have sex on the honeymoon? We're not here for that. We don't all tune in and first thing when the first couple comes or the bride starts walking down the aisle, your first thought is, I wonder when these two will have sex. I'm really interested to find out when these two are going to have sex. No, nobody is thinking like that. We want to know, is the relationship going to work? And while that should be part of the relationship, it absolutely isn't as big of a deal as Married at First Sight seems to want to lead us to believe it is. So I didn't do an episode last week, so we'll kind of talk about a little bit of stuff from there too, but honestly, virtually nothing happened. We had our weddings. Our couples have now met each other. We had brief introductions with the family. Next week, we're probably going to have more stuff with the family and then end on them starting on the honeymoon. So even next week, we're probably going to have absolutely nothing to report on from the first 4 episodes. And to me, that is really sad. We're going to be 4 episodes in and know absolutely nothing about the couples and what's going to happen to them this season. Honestly, the best part of tonight's episode was the preview, and we should probably just talk about the preview and specifically how awful Clint was on the preview. He looks like he's going to be an absolute nightmare before we even get to the end of the honeymoon. On top of that, we have a preview from previously of it looking like Dominique packing up her stuff and leaving. So that to me is way more exciting than watching these weddings, seeing the I do's, seeing the families not approve of the wedding, see everybody talking about sex. No, let's get past all this stuff. Let's get to the honeymoons. Let's get to these couples actually being together because, so far 3 episodes in, this season just is not doing it for me. All right, let's run through a little bit of stuff on the couples. Let's start with Jasmine and Airris. Felina, who I believe is Airris's cousin, she needs to get lost. She seems like an absolutely miserable person to be around. Everything just has to be so negative with her. Everything we've seen from her is just extreme negativity. Telling Airris like, you're not ready, it's not going to work, everything that she can about the situation. And like, Felina, you are not helping. Get out. The wedding, it seemed fine. They seem like they're both attracted to each other, which is at least a good place to start from. Before we talked about Jasmine having 4 dogs. Apparently that's not true. She apparently has 13 right now. It sounded like 9 of them are puppies, but that's like a full-time job, especially if she's breeding the dogs. Like that's basically, that could be what she does for a living, his dogs. That it's going to be an interesting situation when they had that little interview with Airris, and he said that it should be illegal to have 13 dogs. Kind of gave me a little bit of a chuckle. I think that's a lot to be going into a relationship with. It's just a little bit on the excessive side. Dominique and Mackinley, I don't think we need to talk too much about them. My guess is we've got all the fireworks for them to come in the future, so they can have a couple quiet weeks here at the start. The wedding seemed fine, seemed like they're both attracted to each other, maybe seemed a little bit awkward with each other, especially Mackinley. Maybe almost seemed like he was in a little bit over his head. So yeah, we won't worry about them, because I got a hunch that we're going to have lots of drama for those two later on. Now probably the only couple I'm actually rooting for at this point, Nicole and Chris. I just want them to work. I don't know why, I just do. You know, we had the whole thing from the matchmaking special where Chris predicted that her name was Nicole, and apparently Nicole predicted that his name was going to be Chris. I absolutely love that. Nicole looked like she, even by the end of the wedding, that she's all in on this relationship. Hopefully that doesn't just burn out too quickly. Hopefully she can sustain that. You know, it's weird hearing her big concern is really that he's too nice. Like, her concern is that her husband is going to care about her too much. That is absolutely ridiculous, and that should not be a red flag in any way, shape, or form. Want to see these two and how their relationship progresses. Looks like they did potentially have some negative stuff in the preview, but not nearly as much as our next couple, Gina and Clint. Looks like Clint is going to be the nightmare male of the season. Early on, we had all the comparisons between him and Mitch, and it looks like that is probably going to continue. Looked like on the preview that he makes some comments about only dating like skinny athletic women and that she doesn't fit in, and looked like he was just busy just digging holes for himself and who knows what. But that gives me pretty safe assumption that things are not going to work out for these two, but it's going to be a hell of a ride before we get to that decision. Last thing, we have Kirsten, not Kristen, and Shaquille. Her attitude briefly changed. It briefly seemed like it was changing, and she was going to give Shaquille a chance. But even before we got to the end of this episode, she's starting to pull back from that a little bit. I really hope that she at least gives things a chance here. While he may not be what she was looking for in the looks department, I think on paper that these two are actually a pretty decent match, that their lives could mesh together, that they do match up on paper with what they were each asking for, and don't really know how that's going to turn out, especially when we have Kirsten. Like, she didn't look impressed at all when she first saw Shaquille, and she's given him 2 strikes for being younger than she is and being bald, like before they even have had like one full conversation with each other. The turn away on the kiss felt like a rejection. That wasn't her being modest. That felt like a rejection. Still, by the end of the episode, it looked like they still hadn't kissed. But Shaquille apparently gave her like a full-on lap dance on the dance floor, which doesn't really make sense at all whatsoever. Like, if your wife or the person you're dating won't even kiss you, then I'm not sure that they would actually be receptive to a full-blown lap dance. It was very interesting that at no point during the lap dance did they show her face, so I don't know what her actual reaction was to all of that, if she was enjoying it or not. But if you're not even going to kiss and then it's fine for lap, no, just doesn't make any sense. And then from last episode, Shaq had a great line, and that's when he said that she's her type, and it's like, no crap, Shaq. Like, she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She's every person on the planet's type. Very, very ridiculous comment from him. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for right now. No need to ramble on and on when we don't have anything happening. Hopefully we get a little more started to happen by the end of the next episode, but we're looking at you know, the brunches with the families, and then the lead up to the honeymoon. You know, maybe we get the start of the honeymoon next week, which would be great, because yeah, I'm over meeting the families and continuing to meet the people. No, I want to see these couples together. Let's get to it. Let's fast forward past all the BS and get to the good stuff. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'm out.